We can start with,
Sorry.
no problem. Should I introduce? So Erica Perez, Chair, Puna District 4, and I can go ahead and maybe turn it over to John.
Yes, I'm John Komitani, District 9.
Excellent.
Justin Canales, District 6.
Good. Can we turn it to the Zoom? Commissioner Garcia.
Yeah, good morning, Gonzalo Garcia, District 7.
And then Commissioner Beats.
Can you hear us?
You can hear us.
Okay. Jim Bates, District 1.
Awesome. Thank you so much. All right, so that makes 5. So we do have quorum for this meeting. So we can go ahead and begin with the first agenda item after the call to order. Oh, I was supposed to ask you folks that are also on Zoom. I'm so sorry. Commissioner Garcia and Beats, are you alone in the room? Yes.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. All right. If we could go to the approval of the October 22nd, 2025 minutes. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes? Would you like to make a motion to approve?
Yes. Can I make a motion to approve the minutes from the, I forgot the date, it just said
October 22nd.
October 22nd. Minutes.
Justin Canales, District 6. Second.
Okay. All in favor of approval?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Everybody in favor. So the meeting's passed for the October 22nd meeting minutes that were shared out. We can go ahead and move to agenda item 3. Exciting news. We have introduction of new staff members and a new director for the Director of Environmental Management Commission. Environmental Management, not Commission. And we're looking forward to meeting you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Would you like me to introduce?
We would love to meet you. Yes,
Okay.
please.
I am Dan Durbin. I am the new director for DEM. Came on board November 15th. Been here a couple of months now. And I can give you a little bit of background. Some of you may have watched the commission meetings where we had the hearings for my confirmation, but I come from Michigan, and my early career was with automotive related manufacturing industry, where I was the environmental and energy manager corporate wide. We had about 30 plants in Canada, the United States and Mexico provided the corporate directives from the engineering and the environmental standpoint for those plants. I did that for about 10 years and then moved on to starting my own engineering business. And I was in private practice for over 30 years and ran a company that did design and design build projects, again, in the energy and environmental market, still in Michigan, but for customers throughout the Midwest. And then ultimately retired from that and became a retired person. Lived on a boat for 5 years, or lived in part-time for the first few years, and then the final year lived on the boat full-time, traveled around the east coast of the United States and up and down all the major rivers in the eastern half of the United States. And after 5 years of that, we built a home in a little town called Pentwater, Michigan, very small village, 800 residents. And sold the big boat and no longer have a big boat to service, maintain, wash, wax, and all that work that's needed to keep that going. And My wife and I and a small dog lived in this house in Michigan, but began to, after a few years of being boatless and retired, felt the need to do something. I do have a son that lives here in Hilo, and there was a desire to find a way to spend more time with him rather than visiting him once every couple of years. So one of the options that was suggested was find a job here. So went looking for a job, and this is where I am. So it's a good job. I'm very happy to be in this role and work with the people I'm working with, work with the county. It's an important job, and I'm happy to be here, make my small contribution towards helping make it all work a little bit better.
Wow. We welcome you. Thank you for coming out of retirement for us and supporting Hilo and Hawaii. Yeah.
I suppose not many people come out of retirement to go back to work full time, but actually,
Especially with such a full plate.
yes, very full plate. But I'm very happy to have done so. It's a chance to do important and meaningful work. So very pleased with it.
Well, we're very excited to have you. And I just wanted to leave it a little moment for any of the commissioners online or in the room if they have anything that they would like to welcome. Okay. And was there any other new staff within the department?
We have 3 new staff we can introduce.
Let's start with Jared.
I'm sorry. Say what?
Start with Jared.
Oh, okay. There's Jared. Jared is one of our new staff back in the office. So he's here. He's here via Zoom. Jared, can you introduce yourself a little bit?
Yeah, my name is Jared Kodani. I'm a civil engineer too at for DEM.
Very nice to meet you.
Okay, and we have John Simmons also, and he's also on Zoom. John, can you introduce yourself?
How's it going, sir? Can you guys hear me, by the way?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm on the right microphone. Good morning, all Chair Perez, Environmental Management Commissioners. My name is Jonathan. Jonathan Simons, started here at DEM in August as a civil engineer too. Have worked previously in agriculture, ag tech, aquaculture, and education. Through this background and previous experiences, kind of resource recovery and reuse and general environmental stewardship are really near and dear to my heart. So I'm really excited to be in this role at the moment at the county. Some of my main projects are working on the Hale sewer force main replacement in Kona, contributing to Kealakehe R1 upgrades project, and a variety of other smaller projects and exploratory projects, and helping with the day-to-day operations of the department. So great to meet you all. Pleasure to meet you all. And yeah, thanks for having me.
Excellent. Looks like you have some very, very good, well-qualified staff that's joining the department, which is exciting. Okay, so we can go ahead and go on to the next agenda item, public statements. We will go ahead and take public statements at this time for any of the agenda items, or if folks would like to wait and provide statements at that time, when we come to the agenda, they would like, we can do that as well. So I'll go ahead and pause for a moment and see if there's any public testimony online for any of the agenda items today. In the room. Okay. All right, we're moving along. Okay, so updates from the Department of Environmental Management. I can go ahead and turn it back over to you, Director, if you would like, for the Solid Waste and Wastewater Division update.
And I'm going to turn it over to Kelly.
Excellent.
Sure. I talked with Chief Rivera and some of his recycling staff to put together a briefing on the state of our EV and solar panel recycling opportunities and challenges within the island. So I'm not the expert, but I'm going to share the information. So the current disposal capabilities for our department, we don't have a solar recycling program. We don't have an EV battery recycling program. Currently, there's a few vendors on island who do this. Mr. K's, Inter Island Solar Supply, and hazmat companies are the only ones who do the EV batteries, which currently there's none on island. So we are aware that there is a need, and we've been discussing how we intend to move forward as the department. So currently Mr. K's accept panels for recycling. It costs 55 cents per pound to do that. It can be pretty pricey for batteries and with the outer island shipping costs included. Currently, there's no extended producer responsibility ordinances in effect. The only EPR programs statewide covers just General Electrics. In the past, legislation was passed. There was a report on recommendations on waste management of clean energy products in 2021. That's available. The recommendations, there's some concerns. And then in 2025, they established a working group to develop best practices for EV batteries and recycling. That report is not due back to the legislative till next legislative session. So we'll be waiting to see what the state says. One of the concerns the staff identified is that the working group does not currently include the neighbor islands. And so we will look to get an invite to that group if it's not too late. The staff recommendations on the strategic direction are to advocate for state level extended producer responsibility rules. The state, it would just roll out better, right? Each county is not doing something differently, especially when we're talking about dealing with consumers and distributors. We will continue to coordinate with the other counties to lobby the legislator for statewide solutions rather than disparate county programs. We would like to push for inclusion of the extended producer responsibility recommendations with State Department of Health in their solid waste management plan. And we need to develop our own departmental policy within our next update on our integrated solid waste management plan. And we'd also like to formally request a seat on the working group. So that is just the general short briefing on the state of EV batteries and solar. Did you have anything to add?
Yeah, certainly Kelly knows the administrative side of this issue much better than I do. My experience is more hands-on, not so much with the solar panels. Solar panels aren't really a management or a disposal issue. They're relatively inert. There is a market for used solar panels. There are people that are willing to make the compromise between performance and price. Would love to have used solar panels, and they'll pay a certain price for them. So as long as they're not physically damaged, and as long as the output is still reasonable on them, people will buy them. So I don't see the solar panels becoming a disposal issue. They're inert, and there's a good market for them. More concerned about I'm going to spread this out a little bit. The batteries, most, if not all, electric vehicle batteries are lithium-based batteries. And so anything we say about them also applies to other batteries that are lithium-based, in addition to just vehicle batteries. I am aware that Matson put out a policy, I think it might be maybe as long as 3 months ago now, that they would no longer bring EVs to the island. They wouldn't ship them. So that's certainly going to interrupt any additional EVs coming on the island. But we do have some EVs here, and we certainly have some lithium batteries here. Their primary purpose is to go along with these solar cells to store electricity that people collect during the daytime and use to run their off-grid residences, during the daytime and nighttime. That's in a very important purpose here. There's a lot of off-grid housing here on the island. So having these solar cells and good batteries is important. Receiving lithium batteries for storage is complicated and potentially risky. Although these batteries have a 99.9% reliability, that 0.1% when they do go bad, it's very difficult. They are known to catch on fire, and they are known to be difficult or impossible to extinguish when they do catch on fire. Having a battery sitting in the middle of your driveway on fire is one thing, but having a warehouse full of them is a different kind of a problem. So if and when the county picks up any responsibility whatsoever for managing used lithium batteries, we will have to do so very carefully. We'll have to make sure we understand risks, and we'll have to make sure we understand best practices on how to store them safely. I think for the time being, the private market will keep most of these batteries out of being disposed of. If you have a lithium battery that works at all, you can probably sell it. That's where it should be. It should be in use someplace. But if in the future we could start picking up a potential for responsibility for receiving and managing waste lithium batteries, it will be a significant effort, and we will have to do so carefully.
Great. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a couple of questions. So, Justin Canellis, District 6. So in regard to the solar panel reuse, is that something that can be done on island? Rehabbing these things, is that a market that we could help create, so to speak?
I suspect if you were interested in solar panels, if that's something you needed, I am absolutely certain that market is already active on the island.
Right. Is that something that the county might be able to?
I don't know that we have a business that is, buying them and then reselling them. But frankly, solar panel people are amongst a group known as first adopters. These people all know each other. They're online together. When Tom says, I got 3 panels to get rid of, Fred said, boy, I'll offer you $20 a piece for them. I suspect that's all ongoing on the island right now.
For sure. Yeah. I know the battery things is, I live off grid, so I'm very familiar with all this. And I can see this with, because it's a relatively newer market, and that's adopted. But in 10 years, when a lot of these first wave of batteries start going out, so I kind of see this as like, maybe it is an issue now, but it's going to become probably a major issue in 10 years.
Yeah,
a lot of these.
I'm sure eventually it will become an issue. And we'll have to, they can't go in a landfill.
Right.
If and when that time arrives, that will have to be a new function. Probably part of our solid waste operation, but it'll be a whole new function to manage those batteries, receive and manage those batteries.
And like from your expertise, like engineering, and I guess I'm sure with cars, you've seen manufacturing and all of that, is, being able to process these or reuse these in any sort of, large scale manufacturing. I mean, I'm assuming it's probably very expensive to probably set up
It
a
is,
facility
and
like this. Or
I'm not sure how the waste lithium battery market is going to go. I don't think anybody is because it's not here yet. It's not here on the mainland either.
okay,
If you've got a battery and it performs at all, somebody will buy it.
right.
But it will come eventually. And I suppose recovery of essential metals will become a part of where they go. But taking apart a lithium battery and recovering the metals out of it will be a special function. But I think us having to manage lithium batteries is a ways off. So we already have lead batteries that we, quite frankly, have managed and in some cases mismanaged. We don't want to repeat that when lithium batteries come along.
Okay.
Great. Is there any questions from the commissioners online or comment? I have a couple of questions. Do we know at all, just looking at our county, approximately what the quantity is that we're managing of both EV batteries, lithium batteries, solar panels? Do we have actual numbers of units that are on island that we will have to manage into the future?
I'm not aware of any.
Okay.
The retailers selling those pieces are relatively small businesses here on the island. I'm not aware of any record keeping on the buy.
Okay. I'm just curious if there would be value of Hawaii County doing a market research of this space to be able to feed into that statewide effort. It's unfortunate to learn that we don't have representation from outer islands in that state initiative, because that seems that there would be a gap in information of report at the end of that session when it's due in 2027. I'm curious of either is there capacity or is there thought of maybe doing some pre-market research to just understand where we as a county will need to go to be able to manage the solid waste stream.
My sense is that at least for now, it's a relatively small, self-operating, self-controlling market. It's individuals selling and buying parts that they cobble together to make power for their residents. I think it's probably taking care of itself for the moment. I don't think we could justify a market research at this time. It's still it's not a fully developed technology here on the line yet. It's still what you would call first adopters or early adopters doing this.
Maybe
I don't think it's big business yet.
Okay.
I think it's still a fledgling business.
Okay. So the solar farm in Kona or Waikoloa, is that something that's different than what because I'm thinking that that's within this conversation.
Okay.
And I see Sunstream, I see businesses all over. So I'm curious as to where you're gathering the information of that they're just pieced together, small scale.
I've been to some of the shops. I think we should separate the bigger installations. So some of those are being done by people that want a bigger system, either to sell electricity to the utility or to run part of a factory. Those are not part of this fledgling market. Those are people that have, paid a pretty good price to have a system installed on the roof of their factory or in a big open field. And some of those are being done by larger companies that have contracts to sell that power. So I think I expect that because you have so many off-grid residences here, that there will be a good, healthy retail market. That's a word that helps me to explain what my thinking is. I think some of the systems you're seeing are really more out of a wholesale market. I think the retail market is coming. I just don't think it's fully developed here yet.
I guess my thought process is knowing that the state as a whole has an energy goal of no longer using, just all shift to green energy. So within that goal, the state initiative, of course, all the counties are going to follow suit within that state initiative of 100% green energy. I'm forgetting the date. I don't know if anybody knows the 2030. The 2030. Yeah, thank you. I believe it is actually 2030 to be totally off of gasoline and oils. And so within that plan and goal, which is already a goal of our state, I think it would be proactive and good to have some of this market research and assume that it's not going to just be small scale, and maybe assume that if we reach our targets, there will be quite a bit of this material on islands. And so they're in my understanding of the state initiatives and kind of seeing what's happening on island. I do think that it would be good to do some market research for Hawaii County to kind of like at least get an understanding of what we're dealing with, to just, in the future be able to manage it.
If you get somebody to fund the research.
Okay, yeah.
And Justin, District 6, and piggybacking off that, it's like I'm also thinking about kind of this idea of job creation through repair and reuse.
Mm-hmm.
From your expertise, this is something where the private sector might be able to fill a gap in coming in and, instead of the county managing these lithium ion batteries, well, that could be a valuable commodity and jobs that come with it. So do you see the potential for, if this is adopted, past the first adopters and is adopted full scale across the islands, do you think it would make sense to, for a private company to come in and set, create a lithium ion like repair or, rare earth reclamation business for jobs, in the future?
In the future, there might be. Repairing lithium batteries is
or more mining or taking them
process
for the materials, stripping them down.
Certainly, recovering the metals out of the batteries will be, starting to be, and then will be even more important in the future. Taking apart a lithium battery is not for the faint of heart. Most lithium batteries inside are just a whole bunch of cells, and if you can identify the failed cells, you in fact can repair them, but it's not to be done by amateurs.
Gotcha. Okay. All right.
So.
Great. Thank you for that update. Yeah, thank you. Is there any other questions, final comments from folks online, commissioners? Okay, great. Thank you so much, Kelly, for that update, Director. Okay, we can go to the next agenda item, 1B, update regarding the passing of Bill 83 relating to plastic and the strategy for implementation and the approach to addressing recommendations for success.
So I'm going to speak to the high level implementation, and I think Alex is going to jump in at the end to talk about public education. after the passing of Bill 83, Director asked me to put together a 12-month roadmap of how we would implement. So that is going to include changing DEM rules and procedures. And so that has its own process. And then we're also required by state law to assess the small business impact. And so putting those two requirements together, we have a 12-month schedule. We're going to task someone at DEM to lead this effort. So the general, I won't go over everything, but high level, we'll do the initiation, an analysis. So the draft, we will initiate drafting the rules. And of course, send those around for review. We also have to do a small business impact statement considering creative or flexible compliance methods, probably engaging some of the small business community into a small group to get their feedback. This will tag you guys for public outreach because any appeals to this bill, once it's been passed, would come before the EMC. And so we want to make sure we're on the same page about, what rules we are going to enforce. We'll have to send that for Corp Counsel legal review. We'll include Sinclair as well as our department's point of contact. We have to do a public hearing. We have to take comments. And then after the public hearing, we take final action on the revisions for the rules. We have to receive mayor's approval. We have to file with the county clerk. And then we're effective. And so that's the 12-month general roadmap. Like I said, we'll task someone within the solid waste department to oversee that. We'll check in with them periodically. And then Alex rightly brought up one of the missing pieces, which is public education. And so Alex, if you wouldn't mind speaking a little bit to public education.
Yeah, Alex White, DEM. So after the process that Kelly outlined, there's going to be a substantial process to educate consumers, businesses. This bill is markedly different than the others because of the substantial differences in materials. So as a bill is written, there's an expectation to begin composting plastic, which is full of controversial notions. So the bill allowed for various types of plastic materials to be included, including biodegradable bioplastics, which are still plastics, and break down into microplastics and have toxicity issues. And so because there's so many different types of products, we're going to have to educate people on those businesses. There's also this expectation that composting will be happening, which right now there's no foreseeable plan to do, a county DEM-led composting efforts. These things will take quite a bit more time. The in-vessel composting machines that we've kind of discussed really are not designed for PLA and bioplastics. And so, as you can just see here, there's a lot of nuances that really need to be communicated to people so that we can both maintain people's faith in our department and our services, and that what we're doing is actually looking out for them and looking out for the environment, and doing that in a kind of a logical way that takes into account both consumer preferences, business realities, and all these types of things. So it's a tall order to balance. And so as far as when that starts, we're not sure yet. As you know, there's no funding allocated for this. Our budget's already stretched thin, so we'll have to get really creative and probably look to the community and other folks to hopefully partner with when it comes to this. And we're still waiting for an effective date as well. So we haven't received an effective date.
Okay.
So yeah, that was the last week. We hadn't received one.
Thank you. Yeah. Is that
all I had?
okay? Awesome. Are any questions from the commission? Comments? No, I just had a quick question. Could you share the 12-month roadmap, the schedule?
I think so. I'll run it by Corp Counsel, I guess. I don't see any issues with that. It's all public information.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay, cool. And I think there was one more, but I can't remember it right now. I think it was just around a funding question for this work and recognition of the department and how much is on your plate with all of the funding needs. How is like the approach of prioritizing, and are we waiting for the effective date and then maybe the prioritization to try to seek funding might shift, or are we just what's like the approach of trying to fund this? I appreciate Alex saying that maybe partnerships and looking for community partners and orgs, that sounds like a high potential, I would think, especially with the amount of testimony that we received. This was one of the most testified topics of last year for all of our agendas. So I think that would be very possible. Are you thinking of maybe some other ideas around funding for it?
I think it'd be better to speak to the chief when specific to the budget. I can't repeat to you, what was submitted into the budget for solid waste for this year. When that budget will become public in March.
Great.
And there'll be a public hearing. And so maybe that would be the time to put your ear to the ground and remind us again what you're hearing.
Okay.
But yes, I think initially in this first year, it's possible the funding need is low, but upon implementation, if we intend to enforce, we will need enforcement staff, we will need vehicles.
Okay. So the plan that you folks are working on for that 12-year plan, will it result in like a total budget need? So we know a target of what? 12 months. Did I say 12-year? Did I? 12 months. 12, yeah, the 12 months. Will that result in like a budget? So, or in a approximate budget that we then could
we'll get
target?
Closer. Yeah, we submitted some initial numbers to council when this bill was being heard. I don't know how receptive they were to us needing enforcement. But as we move forward, that will become more clear and, priorities will be decided on.
Yeah. Well, we look forward to supporting in whatever we can. We can definitely look for opportunities to fund this effort and kind of just send your way.
Because we also have the plastic bag ban, and what is the other one I'm forgetting?
We have plastic bag, polystyrene bag, or the polystyrene bag container ban.
Sunscreen. Yeah.
And we're doing CRB. Just as a reference point, right now we have a $70,000 budget for a CRB outreach, which is relatively small. So just to get a sense of the scale required for these types of things.
Okay.
Yeah, wastewater has some enforcement needs when we don't have enforcement staff. So it's just the many hats approach we use.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll look forward to more updates as that progresses. Okay, we are shifting, if there's no more comments from commission, to the 2 wastewater division updates. So we can start with 1A if there's no, we already did testimony.
I'll take that one. So you'd like an update on the EPA administrative order and goals for this year. outlining timelines and opportunities for input. So I thought about this. We have an annual report due in March. Well, I guess the reporting period ends in March, and so the report would come out a month later. We have a semi-annual meeting, or excuse me, semi-annual report period ending in September. So a month after that will be submitted to EPA. And so, you know, at your request, we can submit those to EMC.
September, you said?
The period is September, so October you would actually see the report.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll report through September and we'll report again through March every year.
Okay.
And so that will be, you'll see the same update that EPA gets. And then we don't have to do redundant efforts.
Perfect. Get that.
So as far as high level, what are we looking at for this next year? You'll notice all my spreadsheets with tiny, tiny writing. And so we're tracking all of our projects and all of our programs. I'm not going to go into a huge detail on those unless you ask, but really high level this coming year, we need to start design of the Kuleimano wastewater treatment plant. We need to finalize our capital priority ranking. We need to submit a wastewater connection compliance program in December. And I think that one would be a good one to come before you as well. Because again, any appeals when we're trying to enforce connections where people have access to a main, you know, you're going to hear about it. They're going to come before you. So that would be a good one to get in front of you guys. Jonathan talked about Holly Holloway, that is under construction. And then we'll need to complete that construction in next year, 2027, next summer. And then we need to start thinking about the financial plan. Not that it needs to be completed, but we need to get something contracted out or have a plan for how we're going to complete that. So high level, just regarding the EPA AOC, those are what we're looking at for the next year. I mean, beyond just our day-to-day project management of the 13 capital projects we're managing. So I'll leave it at that unless you have questions.
No questions? I don't really have questions for this one. I just, you know, continue to keep us updated. Let us know if there's anything that community will coming through like an appeal process for. We would love to know in advance as much, you know, just be prepared to be able to manage that. So another update when that is approaching would be awesome. Sure. Okay. Going on to 2B, the integrated wastewater management plan update.
So this is in two parts. The integrated integrated wastewater plan, but then DEM's presentation on the mayor's cesspool task force. So just touching on the integrated, we were in a bit of a stall period, bringing on the new administration, getting them up to speed with this massive effort, right? We've got $1 billion in AOC projects and, you know, 2.5 times that for just facilities. And then there's the issue of cesspool conversions. And so it took some time to wrap one's brain around it. And so now we're moving forward. We have direction and we're moving towards a draft. I have not gotten an official anticipated date from the consultant. I'm thinking spring until I hear better. So regarding anything on the integrated before I move on?
I guess, like, how is it progressing? I mean, it's good to hear that folks are kind of on point and up to date now and have been updated and briefed on it. What is going to happen from a contractual even perspective of, are we extending the contract and giving Corolla more time? Obviously, they're not going to be able to complete the work in the contract date that they were provided. So how is that like coming to fruition? And then when is the actual report? When can we expect a report to be finalized?
So I'll have more information for you on that in the next coming weeks. So the project management for the integrated has been transitioned over to me. So right now I'm in the process of just getting all of the old invoices, that hadn't been paid and figuring out where we're at regarding, budget. And so we'll be able to know more on that in the future. Again, I'm anticipating a draft in spring. We have to finish, let's see if I can read this. What the AOC requirement for the countywide is. We have a huge buffer on it, luckily. Okay, complete the integrated wastewater plan, the January 2027. So that's our drop dead deadline. It's not our contractual deadline, and I'll know more about that in the future.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions on the integrated before I touch on the task force?
Good, Jim.
Yeah, Kelly, just a quick question. Is the financial plan and the integrated wastewater management plan going to be occurring simultaneously or integrated in ways?
Yes and no. And yes. We have the integrated plan is pretty high level. What it's doing is estimating the costs for all of the projects that we need to do for the AOC that are not in the AOC, that are just at our existing facilities. Also the cost of expanding our sewer system to the extent, we get funding. So all these projects have cost estimates. That's what the integrated is doing. We're also going to work towards within the county's budget process. We know it's going to be on the next 6 years. So then separately with the sewer rate study, we're looking at, what is the county's cost of service? What are our revenues? What are other revenues that we are not accessing? What could those revenues do for our operation maintenance? What can they do and not do for our capital costs? So it's a combination of a few things, and even on top of that, long term we'll need to make some decisions. But then the county always budgets in a 6-year period, and so really the county is right now limited to just 6 years, and we'll speak to 30 is the goal.
Okay, Kelly, I understand, and thank you for that information. As far as the integrated wastewater management plan, did you say that the draft is due January 2027, or the final is due?
The final is due January 2027.
So will you have different modules or segments of the plan available for us to review in draft form for comment prior to a comprehensive draft?
Yeah, I anticipate we would submit our draft plan to you, and I don't have a tentative date from the contractor yet. I'm anticipating spring, but maybe next month I'll know more.
And who's that contractor?
That contract's with Carollo.
Right. So still Carollo. Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Mhm. All right, so regarding the mayor's cesspool task force, I'm not prepared to give a presentation on the mayor's cesspool task force. I understand you guys received a copy of the report.
A copy of the report as well as the executive summary.
And the executive
Yeah.
summary.
With the recommendations. Yes.
Okay, and I would like to request, if there is a request for a presentation on the mayor's cesspool task force, I would like them to provide that. I'm part of it, but it is not my plan.
So, I know that I feel the same way because I also am a member of that cesspool task force. So Kelly and I were serving on that together, and I didn't want to just put it on to you. And so I understand you not feeling like the owner of it. Who would you recommend us asking? Because really it's just like, it was meant for DEM, right?
Well, meant for the mayor.
And the mayor.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I don't think mayor is going to present on it. So then who?
We could
Who
ask
would be?
Jocelyn if she's available. She offered some assistance. I did mention that if the public were to request, a presentation, would they be willing to provide that? And it sounded like they were open to it.
Okay. Okay, I can loop back with them.
Okay.
And I can do that.
Okay.
I am still very interested of how all of this is melding together and I know that you probably may have similar questions of just how does this plan become integrated in the integrated wastewater master plan, or is it? And from the working group perspective, yes, it was a report for the county and Mayor Alameda, as well as, to my understanding, a report for DEM to lift. And so I think that that's where maybe there might be not consensus.
Yeah, I mean,
there's understanding what it is to be used for, because it is meant to be an implementation plan.
Okay, I'm sorry, there's no way to implement that plan without engineering and costs and projects or policy passed. So one of the things why the department can't just take that is there's things in it that are against state law and county policy, things that the department doesn't do. We don't propose community facilities districts and improvement districts. Those are community and council member petitioned. When those are petitioned, our department gets activated. The finance department or council reviews the legal and the financial, and then DEM reviews the engineering. And then the community gets presented with all this information, and then there's a public hearing. We don't just implement without the community, because in some cases the community is going to have 3 wastewater bills, in some of these communities. And so I think this is more an advisory, and who's responsible for next steps is different. So the department's responsible for managing municipal sewer. We have a sewer system, we need to repair it, and it's our responsibility, because of the cesspool conversion, to at least evaluate where we can extend. When we talk about building a new wastewater treatment plant somewhere,
right? Yeah,
that would be the funding source for that is improvement district, community facilities district. That gets kicked off at the council level. Yeah.
Right. So absolutely. So I'm in agreement and understand what you're saying about CFDs and facilities districts. in that that definitely wouldn't fall under county umbrella until an initiation from either council or community was placed. There is the connection, I think, is more so what I'm kind of also referring to. And the fact that it mentions the integrated wastewater master plan in this plan. And so just recognizing kind of all of this information and not wanting this to just be a waste, of just how can the department make this useful, in guiding those things? How can the department take this along with the task force recommendations? There's 6 task force recommendations that I would like to highlight that are: 1, to continue and pursue conversions in the 4 case study communities. 2, to identify creative financing that works for Hawaii County's unique needs. So I would think DEM would want information on financing. That would be some information I would think that would be valuable. Work with priority communities to evaluate solutions and demonstrate success. Sustain a long-term campaign for community involvement and information sharing. Consider policy interventions at the county and state level. And then develop a phase 2 of the task force for implementation that includes partnership, workforce development, operation maintenance, and further research. So like if you were to just look at that from a department, those 6 recommendations, I think just maybe think of how we as a commission, as well as you as a department, which one of these recommendations can we support? Which one do you fall under, in recognizing some of them you're not gonna participate in at all. And just be able to use this as a resource to inform for cesspool conversion in Hawaii County.
Yeah. So we're doing the integrated. We would get activated under improvement districts, community facilities districts if those 4 case study neighborhoods were to pursue those established sewer improvement funding mechanisms. We continue to work with the communities. For example, we are meeting with DHHL for Keaukaha, discussions of their sewer master plan. We're designing a project for Kahalu sewer line extension. We did a master plan for Pulko and the South Kohala region. And I know director has been meeting and mayor have been meeting with those communities, separately from me, to further those discussions. Yeah, phase 2 of the task force. I think that would be a mayor's call.
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would agree.
Did I touch on everything? One thing I wanted to mention out of the report is one of the recommendations of the report is that our department will enforce cesspool conversions, and that's something we don't have the authority to do. That is something that is under the state purview.
Okay.
However, in our own connection compliance program, we should be working with DOH, identifying homes that have access that are not currently connected, and then communicating that to DOH. So we're going to be talking about that a little bit more in this coming year.
Okay. Where was that in the report? I missed that. That's not the final recommendations.
It was in there. Sorry, I haven't read it in a few months.
Oh, wow. Okay. For compliance.
Yeah, this state has that authority. We certainly don't have the staff or the legal authority to do that. And we do have a place where we have sewer systems and people are not connecting when they have access. We certainly can write letters and pass those letters to DOH if we decide that that's what our procedure is going to be. But we have to, I think we need to
Compliance.
decide what our procedure is going to be.
Okay. Is there any? Yeah.
Quick question about that, Justin, District 6, as you said, in some cases, residents might be getting like separate sewer bills. So I'm just thinking about the Pahala and Nali, which are Pahala's under construction down the road, up the road. So is there outreach to let people know how much this is going to cost and impact them in those communities? And if so, like what can we do just so I can let my residents?
Sure. Well, for one, we have a community meeting, our next semi-annual community meeting scheduled February 19th, Thursday, Pahala, 6 o'clock.
6 p.m. in Pahala.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, awesome.
We also have a project website on DEM's website that has the history, the past presentations. They could watch a recorded presentation on YouTube if they can't make it. They can watch an old one, or this one will be updated eventually, shortly. So Pahala is a different case where the county took on that old large capacity cesspool from Seabrewer.
Mhm.
It's our cesspool. Large capacity cesspools need to be closed per EPA.
Right.
And so those communities are not being forced into, or I shouldn't say forced, are not required to be forming an improvement district.
Okay.
They're already part of us. They have access to sewer. It's just a large capacity cesspool right now. And so the EPA actually is requiring that those that are connected to the large capacity system, their connection is going to be paid for. We're building wastewater treatment plant, new collection system in Pahala, and their connection will be done by the county.
Okay, gotcha.
Whereas the community that is going to be newly accessible to sewer, they are not connected to large capacity sewer, but they have access to the main after the construction's done. They would actually have to hire a plumber to connect to that main. Yeah.
Right. Okay. But that's not the case with Pahala necessarily.
So there's two things going on in Pahala.
Yeah.
Those that were connected to the large capacity sewer will not have to pay.
That's automatic.
Mm-hmm. They're going to pay the sewer rate, the $52 a month sewer rate.
Gotcha.
For residents. For those that are newly accessible to a main, so we have to run up a main on a side road. Imagine that, but they're not. Maybe they have septic. Maybe they have their own individual cesspools. Those folks will have to pay a connection. Yep. Okay. And that would be hiring their own plumber and running the lateral from their property to connect to the main.
Okay, that's good to know. And then the outreach in this, is it just digital? I mean, are there flyers that DEM has that I could throw up in Pahala,
Yep. So actually there's one at the community center. As of I think yesterday, Mark went up there.
Okay.
And so we have to have these meetings twice a year. So it's February and maybe August, I want to say, every year. And so that's when we give the updates. And then we also have the website.
Okay.
So those are two avenues, and the YouTube page. So if you can't make it to the meeting, you can go to YouTube and watch the video.
Gotcha.
And then we do newspaper. We mail 400 residents who are affected. We post the flyer. Maybe I'm forgetting something else, but we do all these things.
You do? Okay. Good.
And the website.
I'll definitely try to get that meeting.
Yeah.
I'll just add to, the question that keeps coming up is what role does the county play with respect to all of these cesspool conversions? The integrated wastewater management plan, which is, as Kelly mentioned, was stalled. And it was stalled because Corolla had come back to the county with questions about funding and intentions that we couldn't answer given the amount of money that we're spending on projects right now. And finally, the decision was made in our department that not only can we not answer them this week, but we can't answer them this year or even next year because we're using up so much money in other projects. And just how long were we going to keep this report stalled because we couldn't answer the questions? When it became obvious that we couldn't answer next year or maybe the year after that either, it became unreasonable to think that we keep the report stalled for that long.
Makes sense.
So we gave Corollo the direction that we need to move on. We'll admit in the report what we don't know the answers to, but we're not going to have it stalled anymore. So fortunately, and as Kelly already noted, it is moving on, and we have now we have an expectation that we will receive this report and have access to the information that is in it. The information that is in that report is a big part of the answer as to what the county can do for people that are on cesspools. One of these people that have cesspools and they have this potential significant expense out there in the future, it makes it even harder when they don't know what they individually will need to do. Do I have to do a conversion? Will the county finally build a sewer down my street? And it just adds to the indecision, and they can't plan because they don't know what's going to happen. Once that report becomes available, it will help people on the island to understand what we will do and what we will not do. And that won't make the decision go away for these people, but at least they will understand what their options are. And, knowing something makes it easier than not knowing anything at all. So a big part of where the county can help there is to get this report finished and get it out to where people understand where we're going and what their options will be.
Thank you for your leadership in getting that moving.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But I very much see your decision making there. It will help inform communities. And I do think that they are confused as to what actions they're supposed to take. So this will give them needed information. Did you have a
No, that was it for that. And I know is Naalehu kind of a similar
It is.
similar to Pahala? Great. And I know Milali'i is its own separate thing, which is
that will be cesspool
that
conversion.
will be yes.
If it's intended to be a county funded or at least partially county funded or special assessment, that would be an improvement district or community facilities district that would need to get initiated through council.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha. Okay.
So Naalehu and Pahala were initiated for the large capacity cesspools, which were banned in
2025.
2025. No,
2005.
Yeah, I was like, no.
2005.
In 2005.
Yeah.
And then Milali'i is one of the 4 priority communities that are actually identified in the cesspool task force report.
And that's a different piece than it would be for Naalehu.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So where you already have county sewer, you would maybe just want an extension, and so you would go for an improvement district to fund that extension. If it's a whole new wastewater treatment plant, using Milali'i as the example, that would be another improvement district.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. A more complex, more expensive, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much for that update. Great update. And we're excited for spring to come. Okay, we can go ahead and move on to 2C, update on the NPDES permit application.
We were going to kick that one over to Chris Lade.
Hey guys, good morning.
Good morning, Chris.
Um, I apologize. A lot going on here. So, which NPDS permits were we curious about?
I believe that these were the two that were discussed from the previous October meeting as well. The Hilo as well as the Kealakehe, I believe.
Okay. So the Hilo permit was just issued, I think it was in November of last year. It was the last part of last year. So there aren't any significant changes in the monitoring for the plant, but it does include provisions that we implement the pretreatment program as well as a fog control, fats, oils, and grease control program. The Kealakehe wastewater treatment plant NPDS permit was also submitted last year. It is under review, and I have not gotten any feedback from DOH on when they might have a draft permit. I followed up with them. Beginning of this month, I sent them some follow-up emails to see where we are in that, but don't have anything back from them yet.
Okay. Does anybody have, is that the update, Chris? I just didn't want to cut you off.
Yeah. Yeah, unless you have further questions. I mean, I can talk for hours, but if you have specific questions, I can answer them.
I have a couple of short questions, but I just want to turn it over to the commissioner before I ask. Nope. Okay. For the fog program, can you go a little bit more into that process and what the NPDS is going to require, and how you're working with the local businesses to get them participating in this program?
Yeah, I think you hit the first pitch out of the park there. There has been no meaningful regulation of fats, oils, and greases. So we are going to start with an outreach program to start, even the basics. How many food service establishments do we have? Where are the facilities that can accept and process fog waste? What are our alternatives? Are there opportunities to promote new businesses to come in and help us with this issue? There are a lot of things that we need to do before we can actually have a functioning program like Maui has or City and County of Honolulu. And my idea is that the program starts with education and outreach. A couple reasons for that. One, we do not have the problems with fog in our collection system like City and County does, nor that Maui has. They have significant sewer system overflows because the fog blocks the collection system and their sewers overflow. We don't have that. We have a few hot spots that we monitor, but we just don't have that level of the problem.
Is there a plan to put a fog program together? The
Yes.
AOC, I believe, requires that.
AOC does not. It's in the
Right?
no, it does not. It's in the NPDS permit for Hilo. You can expect that it will be in all subsequent NPDS permits, whether they're renewals or new permits. You can bet there'll be a provision in there.
How much time do we have to deploy an effective fog program?
Don't have the exact dates in front of me, but this year.
And then in getting local businesses to comply with them, does DEM, is that DEM's purview, or who manages the compliance to local businesses participating in fog programs?
So I see it as DEM's, Kuleana, and you bring up a good point. Part of that compliance will be grease interceptors, and I'm talking about the big septic looking tank things that go into the parking lot, right? And that's currently handled by Department of Public Works plumbing division. So part of the program will be gaining some coordination and communication with them. I think it could be done easily through the EPICS program.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much. If there's no more questions from the commission, then we can go ahead and move on. I think that it would be great to continue to talk maybe about this, like the fog program, and how again the commission can help with maybe some of these tasks, whether it's just the outreach or thinking through of you know, how to approach the businesses to be able to, you know, really support compliance. I can see, you know, the need for a lot of communications going out. Yeah.
Yeah, truly, that cannot be emphasized enough because, I mean, we don't even have a handle on how many participants there will be in the program, whether they're food service establishments or facilities that support them. And my personal philosophy is you don't just start pulling pieces out of that Jenga pile without taking a look at it first, right? So where the commission can help is with the outreach. And then we also should talk about at some point how you're going to handle the appeals that are going to come through that program.
Mm.
And don't get excited because, like I said, this island has some unique realities that are different from Maui and city and county of Honolulu, where they actually have courts ordered, you know, consent decrees to implement the fog control program. We don't have that. And we don't really have a serious problem with sewers overflowing. We have a maintenance and operation issue is what we have.
Okay.
Chair, we have testimony for this item.
Let's see, we have the
Oh, okay. It's normally at the very beginning of the agenda item. I feel like we are doing good on time. Do you feel like we have time to take out of order testimony?
Yeah, I think it's fine.
Okay. Is this testimony for the next one, or is it testimony?
For this one.
Wait, we have Jim Pete's raising his hands for the three. Can you address that first?
Please, yes.
Yeah, this is a question to Chris. And Chris, did I understand that this is also, you know, for the fog component of the permit? Will there also be an inventory conducted of you know, countywide on what the primary who the primary users would be or be affected by the, you know, by the requirements?
Yes, I'm glad you brought that up because I've struggled to communicate that. But before we start regulating people, before you start saying, here are the outlaws, you should get a handle on who are you talking about? How many? Where are they? And then start thinking about what are some potential solutions? How do you get compliance? So for instance, if you just say, hey, starting tomorrow, no more fog discharged anywhere, that's going to be a problem because we don't have any places identified where the fog can be discharged. Right. So that's the first part of this program. You can't get the enforcement until you set all this stuff up, doing inventories, educating people, and also understanding where is the fog going to be taken for reprocessing, hopefully, and resale versus disposal.
So is there a decision on who would be doing the inventories?
So my assumption is that DEM staff will be doing it, particularly the pretreatment group that we're trying to finish setting up here. So, for instance, the City and County of Honolulu, the group that handled that did the pretreatment program, they did the fog control program, and then they also did miscellaneous things like connection compliance, inflow and infiltration evaluations, reuse, lots of different things.
Okay, Chris, thanks.
Yeah, Jim.
Other questions? Yeah, okay, there's one public testimony. We'll go ahead and give you have 3 minutes to provide.
Okay.
If you could go ahead and just confirm with your name and the agenda item that you'll be providing your testimony on.
Okay, my name is Alan Mizu, wastewater operator, UPW Unit 168 Chief Steward. Just want to start on something regarding that. I understand that you guys are talking about Oahu regarding the pretreatment program. Oahu doesn't have the issues we have with the cesspools and septic tanks here. So with no new connections, I don't see an issue long-term with fog. Based on the collection system, you guys should be focusing on what the haulers are going to be bringing to the treatment plants also. Something I also did was I did written testimony regarding some issues we're having at the Hilo treatment plant regarding confined space issues. So
I'm sorry, is this regarding 2C?
yeah, I did written testimony 2C, if I remember correctly. Okay, so for the record, my email wasn't a general complaint. This is regarding the testimony I submitted regarding confined spaces. So for the record, my email wasn't a general complaint. It identified 8 specific compliance conflicts and requested specific corrective actions and documentation, including a clear written statement of which OSHA Pathways Department is applying to confined spaces. As of today, I still have not received written clarification. The January 9th memo language has not been corrected, not revised, and no revised protocols have been issued that resolve the test okay when temporary classification to non-permit approach. Confined space incidents remain fatal every year in the U.S., and they often become multi-fatality events because coworkers attempt to rescue without full program attendant retrieval and rescue provisions in place. This is why I'm asking the Commission for oversight on the dates and correction. Okay, that's good. Yeah, I know what's tied to that.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. All right, are there any other questions from the commission for 5C, the NPDS? Great, we will move on to 2D, DEM to provide update on the past EMC recommendation and input on how to proceed with current planning.
So this is specifically regarding the Kealakekee water reuse recommendation from 2021. So yeah, apologies. I'm not sure that made it to my desk, or maybe I didn't remember from 2021. However, I'm just going to speak to the Kealakekee reuse project. Unless you would like to clarify what the recommendation was.
So this was pre. I'm trying to look to see if there was I believe that there was an it was attached to the agenda, the recommendation. But I'm not having,
Sorry, I reviewed it quickly and why don't we do this? I'll just give you the update on the project and you guys can ask questions.
yeah, I'm sorry, let me look real fast, Kelly, and see if I can help you a little bit with this.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I'm just making sure that the other recommendation is not, which, bless you, which agenda item this is versus the other. We have two recommendations that we were going to discuss today. One is from the Permitted Interaction Group and the other was the Kalakahe, but I'm not seeing the Kalakahe. We just had a number of questions regarding Kalakahe reuse and an update on the recommendations for reuse in connection for that treatment
Okay.
plant. Yeah.
So, the county has a settlement agreement with Earth Justice. It's considered active litigation, and so I'm limited to, what I'm going to provide. It's going to be specific to the requirements in the settlement. But that's okay. It provides a lot of information, honestly.
Okay.
So to start, I'm going to split this up into two things. First, we need to upgrade the plant to produce R1 water. Second is, what do we do with the water? Those are two different projects. So to start with the upgrade project, the department was required to submit the Kalakahe NPDES application and issue a request for bid by certain deadlines. The county completed both of those tasks in time with the settlement schedule. We are anticipating starting construction on the Kalakahe R1 upgrade project in March, in time with the timelines. That will take a few years to complete. And we'll complete construction by summer 2029. And that's all been going well. And then to address the second part of that project, how are we going to use the water? The requirement was that we complete a reuse feasibility study in October of 2026. And one of our new engineers has taken on that task and is going to be evaluating several options.
That's summer of 2026, June of 2026?
October 2026.
October of 2026.
Yep.
Oh, that will be good. And is that report that is just for that service area?
Yes. So it's just for Kalakahe. How are we going to reuse the R1 water from Kalakahe? The settlement requires that we evaluate 3 options. So we'll at least evaluate 3 options, but there may be other options that are more feasible to the department, to the division, and so those will be included as well. And then we're required to select a reuse project and complete that project by 2031.
There's infrastructure in the ground already for the reuse, right? For conveyance?
Not completely. There is some. None connecting to the plant.
Yeah, it's just so the infrastructure, but no connection. And then no plan for the disposal.
I would say there are some R1 pipes installed by a developer at some point in time. Those pipes don't connect to our plant. And so, I couldn't tell you how many hundreds of feet, but it's not an easy project, right? It's a
course.
significant connection. So
that was developer led, not county led?
I believe so. And I will kick this over to Chris for more details on that project. I've had very little to do with if he's still there.
Yeah, he's still there.
Thank you, Chris.
If you could, Erica, please rephrase the question. I got the developer led and my ears perked up, but I missed the first part.
Oh, just curious if the infrastructure, the purple pipes that are in the ground that are not connected, was that a developer-led project or is that a county-led initiative to get the original R1 pipes in the ground?
That was a county initiative that was done as part of the Queen K Highway Widening Project. So it was done by Hawaii DOT with our funding to help install those lines.
Okay. So when you look at the potential water use for that, is that infrastructure going to be like guiding that use discussion because it's already in the ground?
Exactly. Yeah. So we're not going to. I mean, we are going to focus on it, but we're not going to have blinders on. We're going to look for all opportunities to beneficially reuse the water because the pipe's in the ground. That obviously is something that's going to have potentially more emphasis. You know, I'm hesitating because there's a chunk missing that we need to get installed. And I think I have a plan to get that done in short order here, but it's not connected yet.
Right. It's Jersey. Thank you, Chris.
Sure.
Okay.
I can add a little bit to that.
Please.
The original requirement is to use 100,000 gallons per day. And that was recommended that we consider 3 different locations for that reuse. To some degree, the current development and expected development in that area is actually going beyond what the original settlement required. By the time we have R1 water available, the expectation is that we will go way past the required amount of 100,000 gallons per day. The plant is currently processing plus or minus 1 million gallons per day. And as that community continues to develop, that number will increase. There is significant potential for the reuse of R1 water in that area. And yes, there may be some pipes in the ground, but there are a lot of other opportunities developing also. And my expectation is that we will not only meet the requirements of that action, but that we will surpass it. On top of that, it's my goal to not give that water away. DEM has a long history of providing free service for a lot of its, or no charge for a lot of its services. One of my goals is to determine which services DEM is providing and what, if any, of those services should we be requiring people to pay for. And we are already investigating several, but we already have a rate schedule for sewer service. My expectation we're going to go beyond that and also charge for other things. This R1 water is a perfect example of that, especially on the west side of the state. water that you can use for surface irrigation has value, money value. And we are already talking about including that in our rate structure study. What is the market value of R1 water in on the west side of the island? And once we determine that market value, then we can determine who are potential users, how far can we run the pipe? Because if we're going to give the water away, we can only run the pipe so far, but if we're going to sell the water, and that provides revenue to support running the pipe farther than we might have otherwise. Actually, I'm rather excited about the whole thing. I think we're going to have a product that we can charge for and get significant value for it.
That is exciting. That is exciting. It's not cheap to make R1 water, so it doesn't seem like we would want to just give it away. That's great. That's a great update. Okay. I think that wraps up that section from wastewater division. That was the last topic. So we are done with our agenda 5 updates from the DEM. Thank you all so much. Good work. You're starting out the gate strong. Maybe we could, this is a good time for I don't know what time it is. Let's see here. 10:39. Maybe we do unfinished business and then we can take a break. Thank you. Yeah. Is there any public testimony at this time for this agenda item 6, unfinished business? We can go ahead and take that at this time. No. All right. We will go ahead and move on. So this is DEM to provide a timeline for optimal participation for EMC to offer support and recommendations to the operation and maintenance budget in the capital improvement budget process. Thank you for getting this. This is fantastic. I don't know who did this. So this is the timeline for budget process for Hawaii County. This is fantastic. So what I can do, I think this is more of just an action item from our last October meeting. I am going to turn this into an electronic format and then also upload. This will be on the county now. So we can discuss now, talking about how we would like to participate and engage in this process. And if DEM has any guidance and insight to that, we would like to hear it at this time too.
Sure, I can take that. So Robin pointed out that schedule is for CIP as well as operations, which is something new to me. I don't participate much in the operation or at all in the operations budget. So that makes it easier. The public hearing for both budgets is in March. And so if EMC wants to review drafts of the budget and provide public input, that would be the time. If you would like to provide high-level guidance prior to our submittal of the draft budget without seeing a copy, you can do that. I would recommend you do that around September.
Okay, so what I thought, thank you. What I thought was the schedule for the budget is not the schedule for the budget. Can we get a schedule that just outlines those dates? Do we have that, Tiffany?
We should have that in the document.
This one?
Yes, that one.
Oh, it is. Okay, I thought I had seen it. And so okay. So September and March, right?
March is the public hearing for the mayor's budget.
Okay. Mine got left out of it, but I will figure it out. That's why.
And then DEM submits its draft to planning, and then it goes to mayor, and then mayor presents his draft. And so if you want to speak to what we submit to mayor, I would say September would be the time frame. And you can't expect to review a draft because it gets turned around so quickly.
Okay.
So if you use high level, you have things that are of interest and think in 6-year time periods on the capital budget.
Okay.
That's all I have.
6-year timeframes for capital budget.
It's a 6-year planning horizon is what the county plans its finances for. And only the next fiscal year is we still have to request our allotments, but you can count on the next year. Things change year to year.
Okay. So for this year, let's just start for DEM. Have you submitted the draft CIP already?
Yes.
Right. So that's available that we would be able to see that because it's public. Is it public?
It's not public yet. So there's a process chartered in the county charter. It goes, departments submit their budget to planning. Planning works with mayor to draft his budget.
Okay.
And so January 1st of every year, we submit our drafts to planning. It's fun times over the holidays.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
Oh, we submit to finance, but work with planning. Yeah.
Okay. And then you have, so from now, so we're approaching February 1st. What should we be able to put a draft of the mayor's budget on February 1st or our February agenda? Is that kind of that schedule line of what you would think? Because the deadline is by March 1st. So that would mean February we would be able to.
March is the hearing, and it depends on the council's schedule and the agenda. April. Sorry, Peter's correcting me. Yes, so April, there's a hearing. And I'm assuming mayor's budget is submitted to the county clerk 1 week prior to that meeting, typically.
March.
Okay, March.
So March is when we would want to put it on the budget or on the.
I would say participate in the public hearing is what you want to do.
And
Because you're gonna get the agenda, you're gonna have access to the document. You can provide testimony. It's not gonna come back to us. It's out of our hands at this point.
Okay, so what I was trying to see if was possible is that there were previous discussions as a commission, if we could weigh in as a commission to support specific budget or projects that DEM were proposing to just elevate that support level to mayor. To do that, yes, we could go to the hearing independently and provide independent testimony, but we are not as a commission able to provide testimony in that kind of a setting as a commission. So we can only do that here in this setting and agree and vote specific language and everything on what we want to submit to the mayor's, either the mayor or corporate or council. So with that understanding, I'll just maybe just keep a really close eye on that draft budget from the mayor and when that will be in the hearing. And if it aligns to be able to have it on a February or March agenda, we possibly could get something in by April then, is maybe my understanding, or the April hearing.
Okay.
Is that correct? Do you think that there's enough? Because I know things go so fast. Do you think that that is a timeline that would be possible? Or do you think that it's not possible to get a commission you know, agenda item because of how fast it turns.
I don't know.
Okay.
Could you
That's an honest answer.
review the timeline and let me know?
Yeah, I'll put everything into a calendar and we'll look at it like on an actual calendar and I'll meet with you and then we can take it from there.
Okay.
Let's do that. Okay,
Sounds good.
perfect.
Sorry, we submit our draft, we go over it with planning, that's like our heavy lift, and then we present our projects and our operation budget in March, and that's our list.
Yeah.
How it rolls out, I don't really pay as much attention to.
Okay. I know that there's like the Puaco extension or the Puaco has $1 million on that budget. Kahalu'u does. So there's multiple priority accessible conversions that have line items in the existing this year budget. So those are the types of things that if we do have opportunity as a commission to weigh in on and show support for, that would be an option.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would say, let's just make sure that those supporting items end up on the agenda so we can talk about what we're doing, what we've done, where we see it going, and then
to align.
That way you're informed on what's happening with us.
Okay. So that might be another continued unfinished business for next month, but depending on how it lines up. Okay. Any questions, commission? Nope. Okay. So new business. We're moving on. Oh, and we can go ahead and this is a good time to take a break. Let's go ahead and come back at noon. Is that too long?
We'll be done at noon.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I'm okay with that.
I'm so mixed up on my timing. Okay. We're so close. Can we go through?
The recording's gonna finish
11.
2 hours, right? You have 2 hour recording?
I can't read a clock right now, even when it's in digit. Yeah, it's 10:50. I meant 11. Let's come back at 11. And then that will give us plenty of time to go through the rest of it. Yeah.
For all those listening in, we're gonna close the meeting and people will have to rejoin. Yeah.
Aloha, welcome back, everybody. We are reconvening the EMC meeting. We are on agenda item number 7 for new business. This is new business item 1. I can open it up for any public testimony at this time for any agenda topics of 7. Okay, we'll go ahead and move on to commission discussion. For item 1, Environmental Management Commission discussion on the facilitation of efforts to identify financing options for sanitation improvements and promote accessible conversion. This initiative may be addressed through future public agenda items or by establishing a newly formed permitted interaction group. This is building on the discussion that we left off also with last year. I know that the commission has discussed a couple of times the potential need of a permitted interaction group that could dig in again to a little bit more of the financing options as well as the recommendations that have been put forth. We did have a previous PIG for sanitation, and the report has been attached to this agenda item with recommendations that came out of that group. And just let them go. And I wanted to know what they did with that. I know, that's okay. So I'm just gonna open the floor up for discussion regarding sanitation our desire to reform a permitted interaction group to look specifically for the wastewater components of what we have been discussing.
Justin, Commissioner Six, District Six, is this to, would this pig be to kind of discuss like all the different potential areas around the island, and all of that? Is that kind of what it's addressing? Is it addressing any specific, specific project, or kind of, yeah, is it all encompassing for all around the island?
So I can maybe start off with what a permitted interaction group is, and that might give some insight, because really we can make it what we want it to be. The permanent interaction group is a way that the commission can work with a few of the commissioners independently outside of quorum. So we can have up to, how many with 5? So we have 5 commissioners right now. So there is a number ratio, and I'm
This is 4.
less than 4.
4, no, 4 is the max.
4 is the max.
Because you guys are a 9-member board, right?
We are a 9-member board. Okay, so even though if we only have 5, it's still 4. Okay, so we can have no more than 4 people on our interaction or our PIG, and it offers opportunity for those members to meet independently and to research the topic that we designed the PIG under, and then report back to the commission and provide either a final report with potential recommendations, but anything that the PIG identifies as recommendations would go through the normal voting process of meeting quorum and held in that format.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Can I say something, Erica?
Please.
So if you guys, it's a 3-meeting process at a minimum, the PIG. So you can form an investigatory PIG to investigate something. But if you do decide to do that, you'd have to say, okay, these are the members. And then you would define the scope of each member's authority. The scope, you have to define the scope of the investigation and the scope of each member's authority. So that's kind of what you were talking about, what's going to be the scope. So you'd form the PIG today if you wanted to, and then they would go and do their investigatory business. It could take however long, 2, 3, 4 months, 6 months, however long. And then once they finish their investigation and they their resulting findings and recommendations would be presented to the board at a second meeting whenever they're ready. And then at that meeting, there would be no discussion. It would just be the PIG reporting back to the board. And then at a third meeting, whenever you guys want to have that meeting, would be when the commission discusses all those recommendations and findings and votes to adopt them or not, or whatever they decide to do.
And can you please tell us, is there a timeline? Because is the PIG for 3 months?
No, it's however long you want to. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't, the PIG, there's no timeline.
Okay, so just until the actions have been completed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. And we've seen, yeah, so there's no requirements on that.
Okay.
I mean, there's definitely a part of me that, seeing the complexity of kind of what the situation down in Miloli'i and, and the needs of that being in my district. I mean, I'm limited on time, so I don't think I could do an analysis on each one, but as part of the PIG, being able to look at some of these financing options, as you had said, for the treatment plants and stuff in my district, I would be happy to, do that work. But as far as like trying to do an extensive analysis on all of the different ones around the island, if within the PIG there was Miloli'i, Nalu, and Bahala, I would love to focus on those and definitely, be a part of it in that way, or share information of how that could apply to other areas that other members would be working on.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that makes more sense depending on where the members live, because the needs of.
Your name.
Oh, I'm sorry, John Komitani, District 9.
Thank you.
Because I think the needs, like for people that live in Kailua versus people that live in Ocean View, I think are different. I don't think you can standardize the responses because there's so many different environments on this island. So it would have to be more individualized, I think, if you could get that many people to volunteer.
So the pig can only be made up of commissioners, but you can work with experts. You can bring in experts independently to discuss things with them and to research topics. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, Justin District 6, Commissioner Kamatani, did I say that right? Awesome. Had said that, it each is different, and then we could see where some of the solutions might cross-pollinate in these different areas, or, I know that you've done a lot of work on this in general, so I would kind of defer to you a little bit on your expertise and see, the extent of different financing options and how they would apply to different areas around the island and stuff too. So, yeah.
Yeah. Is there any comments from commissioners that are online in regards to the potential of or reason to support the putting together a pig? Yeah, Commissioner Beats.
Yeah, one of the things that we previously discussed, among several other things, was a discussion on the support of an enterprise fund. I'm not sure if we need to have that as a specific element of the pig, but it's certainly one of the things that we want to explore a little bit more and discuss.
And Justin, Commissioner 6. Jim, the enterprise fund, was that for countywide or for specific projects? Countywide?
Yeah, that was for countywide. And again,
Oh.
I didn't add my name, Jim Beats, District 1.
And I think it probably would be good to do this big because it seems like DEM is really focused on the getting fulfilling the AOCs and just getting the work done rather than looking at all of these other potential options for revenue or all of that. I don't know, from at least I guess the hearing back a few months ago, that it seemed like this is where the EMC could potentially really help DEM out, is looking at these alternative revenue models and everything. So I do think it could be helpful.
I have a
guys,
question. Oh yeah, go ahead, Chris. I don't know. Is
So-
Chris? Hold on, I'm so sorry. One moment.
Yeah.
He's part of DEM.
Yeah, DA was excused already,
Okay.
but if he wants to.
I was going to offer clarification on enterprise funds in the context of local government. But I'm
Please,
happy to talk offline.
Yeah. No, please, Chris, from your expertise, if you can explain what an enterprise fund just is, that would be great.
Okay, so it's an accounting methodology. That's the simple answer. The more nuanced is you set it up for a specific purpose, in our case, wastewater. So the enterprise fund can only expend money for the purpose it was set up for. We have, in essence, an enterprise fund already for wastewater. We charge fees, we put them in the fund. When we expend monies, it's only for wastewater purposes. And we do receive infusions of cash from the general fund. Generally speaking, if you have a true enterprise fund, then although you can pay back the general fund, there's not really a specific requirement for it. In our case, we're not quite an enterprise fund like Board of Water Supply. So general fund can come back and say, we want a refund of monies we gave to you, or they could say, hey, we don't want to give you any more money. And using the water supply example, their whole financial structure is based on the assumption that they're not going to get infusions of cash from the general fund, that they're going to be completely self-sufficient, whether it's from fees, grant funding, or however else they get funding. So in our case, having an enterprise fund would be handy, and I defer to my new director, who, by the way, is super sharp, and we've gotten more accomplished the first month he's been here than the past 4 years I've been here. So I give him a resounding endorsement. Where an enterprise fund could help us is we could look at a broader user fee. Instead of just, hey, we're charging you for sewer, we could say, you're not connected. However, you are generating solids that periodically are going to be pumped and hauled to our plant. So we could exert an overall countywide small fee that would help fund some of these programs. And we can also, since I'm at it, we could also look at volunteering to set up a non-point source program for the entire island. We would get the benefits of some regulatory self-destiny under the non-point source program. MS4, Municipal Separate Sewer Systems, that's something to look at. We could volunteer to be a small MS4, a phase 2 community, which means we get access to being able to promulgate regulations concerning non-point source, which includes the septic tanks, right? We can do water quality studies, we can set TMDLs, we can designate which impaired waterways we want to clean up. And we could also set up an enterprise fund for that and charge a fee. And since you asked about my experience, I did this in Georgetown, South Carolina. We charged $52 a year per equivalent residential unit. So that means a typical house would pay $52 a year, and a business with a big impervious surface like Walmart would pay multiples of that, right? Mm-hmm. So they could pay several $1,000s a year. If you apply that model to the Big Island, you would generate something like $6 million in revenue, just charging everyone $52 per year. And that's not enough to get a large project done, but it is enough money to get a program started. And it also gets you money to provide matching requirements for grant funding. And keep in mind that the stormwater program, one of the express goals of it is when you find that cesspools are contributing to the impairment of a waterway, then you can get grant funding through the, I think they call it 319 grant program, and for connecting those people to sewers. So they're kind of hand in hand. I haven't had a conversation with the new director about this, but I think it's something we should look at.
Yeah, I know Kauai is doing that. There's a project on Kauai. They're using 319 funds to do non-point source conversion of cesspools and Ka'au. I can't remember the area.
I'll have to look for that.
Thank you. Yeah, they are.
Sure.
It's one of the state's 319 projects. Thank you for that kind of review of what an enterprise fund is. I had a question for council. And are we as a commission, when we went through our training, there was a little bit of a discussion of our ability to seek grant funding for our commission to do potential studies. So there's constraints consistently coming from DEM around financing and paying for some of these studies that I feel could be valuable to the department in in things like financing, investigation, market research, even some of the studies that we talked about today that were discussed. Do we as a commission have the ability to write grants or to seek grants?
I don't think
Because
so.
Micah was saying that we did, but I want to touch base with him because I had not ever heard that. But when we got the chairs and vice chairs all together, that was some of the discussion. Maybe I should reach out to him.
Yeah, I think, yeah, you guys, all of your powers stem from County Code 2-207, and it's all advisory. You know, you really can investigate and advise the department and council. There's nothing that says that you guys can, you know, seek funding and hold funding and those kind of things. But, you know, you can talk to DM and Micah and see.
I think he was saying to work with partners that could hold the funding for us. Yeah. Yeah. It wasn't, I don't think like that it went through. Yeah, I will look into it before I say more, and I will get back. Maybe I'll get back, and if you don't mind me maybe emailing or CCing you, just so I get correct information, like
Sure, yeah.
we, just so both of us are on the same.
But yeah, I've never heard
understanding.
of an advisory commission, you know,
Getting grant funds.
no.
Okay.
That's more the executive branch's authority. They can
Okay.
go do that. I think, yeah, I don't even know if county council does it, but I know the executive branch does that kind of thing.
Interesting. Okay. I'll look into that. Any more comments on the development of a pig? No? No? Okay. Is there a motion or would anybody like to make a motion? If not, we're going to move to agenda item 2 under new business.
Is it something that I mean, I'm willing to join one if the commission feels that it's, if it's worth it and worth our time. So I'm willing to, support forming one. But yeah, I guess it's up to you, Erica, and the other.
It's up to all of us. Yeah, it's up to all of us. Absolutely. And it's going to take extra time for whoever's on it. That is something that is to be considered. It is extra work. It's extra time. Mm-hmm.
So something we might want to mull over for the next year, for the next month, and then maybe decide next month if we want to form one or not, or.
We can add it as a unfinished business. I'm seeing a lot of head nods.
Yeah. Okay. We'll make it.
I'm seeing a lot of head nods in support of that one. Okay, unfinished business.
Okay.
Good job, everybody. All right. So new business, item 2. This is the discussion of how EMC can assist DEM in addressing the Hawaii Accessible Task Force recommendations of 2025. So this is the recommendations also with outreach and implementation. These are the recommendations that we went over with Kelly while she was still on the meeting. They're from the executive summary of the task force, 1-pager, 2-pager.
District 6. Is this where did we want to invite that person that you and Kelly were talking about to present on this, or are we just gonna kind of review and discuss?
So we could hold off until we could also make this unfinished business, and I can reach out to Jocelyn with RLF and I could have her present on this effort and just what happened, why it was pulled together, what the task force is and the recommendations are meant for, if we feel that's the appropriate course of action. Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so maybe let's have a presentation on the actual report prior to making a decision of how we want to support the recommendations. That sounds great. Okay, so action item number 3, EMC will review the 2026 Hawaii County bill package for cesspool conversion and discuss if they will offer input or recommendations. I'm disorganized here today. There we go. All right, so this agenda item is added. This was brought to, this is a bill package that was put together in regards to cesspool conversion and recommendations that will make its way to the state legislature if approved and put forward by the county council. It does modify the date for cesspool conversion, is the primary focus and initiative of the bill, and with new deadlines for the priority areas that are outlined within it. I will say from my perspective, it's unfortunate to think of the dates for cesspool conversion to be pushed back beyond the 2050 deadline. I don't feel that the research is very optimistic of what that would be doing to our coral reefs and our natural systems. I have concern that the priority 2 cesspools that would be pushed back to 2060 would be knowingly contaminating our drinking water. And that concerns me from this bill recommendation or this bill package.
When was the initial deadline? 2050? Is that for all of them or sorry, what? So it's changing it to 2050 from what? I'm curious.
So the current deadline for cesspool conversion is 2050, with recommendation coming from the cesspool conversion working group, which I was a member of at the state level for the 4 years. In that those final recommendations from that working group was a pretty resound agreement of wanting to expedite cesspool conversion actually and push especially priority 1 and priority 2 areas forward rather than pushing them backward. So this bill package from Hawaii County right now is going against the state recommendations of that cesspool conversion task force. I hear concerns and I understand the concern of cost for cesspool conversion and the burden that lays on our community members. So I think that absolutely needs to be addressed. I don't feel that pushing the deadline back and kicking the can down the road more is going to address financing. I think financing is just going to get more expensive the longer we wait to do anything. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I'm surprised that it's so far out, 2050. It's like another 25 years almost. But I guess I agree with you on that. That it already seems pretty far out.
I believe there's current legislation at the legislature level that is also wanting to actually move it forward to 2035 for priority 1. Do we have any comments from folks online?
So your comments or recommendations would be to DEM or council regarding this, right? Because it's the state bill.
DEM. So this is a state bill that would go through our county council for approval to the ledge, though. Is that the next step for this? Or is it, oh, just to be submitted to the ledge?
No, this is just a state. Yeah.
Okay. So we would be to county council.
No, county council, this is the Hawaii State Legislature. County council wouldn't have anything to do with this. This is just the Hawaii State Legislature. This is a state bill for an act. So the department can provide comments to the state legislature. So you guys could provide comments to DEM, urging DEM to provide certain comments to the state legislature. But this isn't a county council bill.
Is this the one?
The deadline is today to introduce bills to the legislature. So there might be
To introduce bills. I mean, yeah, I don't know. Was this bill submitted? It doesn't have a number or anything. Not sure what this is, whether it's a draft or.
So this was shared to me by the task force and communicated to me that this was a Hawaii County bill package that was moving forward. And so that's why I'm a little confused also because that's how it was expressed to me. So I was going to look at the email of where it came from. And that's how I received this was through the mayor's CESPL task force was shared with me. And specifically said a Hawaii County bill package initiative.
I'm not sure what that means. Does that mean it was, put forward by our state legislators? That's what it could mean, maybe. But friend of the commission just mentioned that testimony.
well, the bill would be introduced
already.
There's a deadline to introduce this bill. Yeah, so I don't know if this bill is introduced or whether it's an active bill, but if it is introduced.
So see, like even the name is a County of Hawaii bill package when they sent it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what that means. It's probably a term of art. Maybe I'm guessing it might be that the County of Hawaii state legislators are submitting these.
Okay.
Peter, you have any insight on that?
Yes, so county submits a package of bills that are in its interest. It's usually introduced by request by the legislature. The speaker could be one of our representatives, and then what happens to that is it's assigned to a committee or several committees, and then it's there.
So what Peter is saying is that the Hawaii County administration has drafted bills itself and submitted it to state legislators and asking them to submit it, right?
And I'm not sure if this particular bill was submitted or it's about this in the November meeting that was canceled.
I received this from this is not from the November meeting that was canceled. No.
So that makes sense, but so you guys could provide comments to DEM regarding this bill if you want to. And
okay.
Yeah, we're not sure whether it was submitted or not, because that's ultimately a decision from the state legislators.
So this is going to be another process question. Apologies. So when county drafts bill packages, that does not go through our county council and then to the ledge. That just goes directly from our county to a legislature who then is going to submit it on behalf of Hawaii County.
I don't know how that process is, but there's multiple different process. There is no like standard process for getting a bill to a legislator.
Introduced,
yeah. Like I assume county council could do that too if they wanted to. They could put it on their agenda and say, we want to urge the state our legislator to, pass this bill. But yeah, I don't know what led up to you getting this bill, but at this,
I'm a part of the task force.
yeah, so
That's how I received it. I'm a part of the mayor's task force.
mhm.
And so this was sent out as part of all of the mayor's task force
Yeah, so
stuff. Yeah.
do you know whether it was submitted to the state legislature or not?
I guess that I would have liked to we could have asked DEM maybe that, but I don't. This was the last update that I received.
Either way, you
Mhm.
can still review this bill and submit comments to DEM today.
Okay.
That's what you guys function is. So you can review this draft and, say we agree with it or we don't. What I see it doing is it's breaking down the cesspools and giving them different dates for compliance and conversion. So
Exactly.
priority one is still 2050,
Mhm.
and then 10 years for priority two to 2060. So that's really what it's changing. So you guys can discuss that and decide whether or not to provide comments and recommendations to DEM.
So HB 2060.
Gosh, Peter, you're too much. Okay.
So yeah, that's the discussion you want to have right now.
Okay. Thank you for that information and support. I feel just based off of the expertise of many people that are wanting to expedite this, it's hard to see the dates pushed back, knowing that it's just going to end up costing everybody more money.
This is Gonzalo Garcia, District 7. Can I comment?
Please.
I think it's unconscionable. How would anybody advocate for priority one being pushed back to 2050? Yeah, it's going to cost more and all that, but it's unconscionable the impacts that the priority one is potentially having, as we speak. So I couldn't support the change of these dates.
Well, priority one was already
So
50.
Yeah. So the deadline right now.
I thought. Then I apologize, but I would support what you were suggesting, Erica, is that there's a movement of folks to expedite priority one, and so that I guess that's where I'm landing. Is I think 2050 is way too far out there. We need to go after priority one now, as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
And that's my comment.
Who do we advocate this to? I guess what should, what are we setting this DEM?
So if we would like to make a motion, we would be making a motion to provide comment to DEM at this moment. But this would also be something that we can track, obviously, this session and continue to provide comment.
So Erica, this was the mayor's task force. So the administration wanted this bill to be submitted. Is that what you're saying? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's okay.
Yes, that is the case that is at hand. Yeah.
So it seems like, that the administration, which oversees DEM, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's the administration's position is they're asking for this to get passed.
Yeah.
So if you guys are against it, then you would be urging DEM to reconsider.
Yeah.
This.
But I also just knowing how our effort went forward with the cesspool task force, would it be possible to send the recommendation to both DEM and mayor administration?
I mean, it's really, you guys have authority to send comments and recommendations to council and DEM. You could ask DEM it's pretty much the same thing, they're part of the administration.
Okay.
but you could ask them to forward it to the mayor.
Okay. I'll make a motion. But I would rather know it.
Yeah, I mean, just ask everybody how they're feeling about this.
Yeah. I mean, do we have as a commission, would we want to, is this something that we're concerned about?
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to support, you know, if you want, I guess it's just a matter of who we're sending it to.
So the recommendation would be going at this moment to DEM. And council? Why do I keep thinking it's council?
Because you can send,
So DEM and council.
well, let me see. Yeah, this would be DEM because it's on DEM programs. So this is related to their programs.
I know that I would have a very, very hard time supporting this bill package. With all of the information of experts around the health of our coral reef, the status of our groundwater, and the cost of conversion. It really just doesn't make sense to me. We would need a motion to make a recommendation.
Okay, motion to make a recommendation
But what?
to, sorry.
It's okay.
Multitasking.
That's fine.
To recommend, you know, I'm sorry, I was to recommend action, you know, to expedite the conversion of cesspools and not delay it.
Do we have a second?
Erica, I have a quick comment. Jim Beats, District 1.
I think that we have to make a motion to discuss.
So you can second it and just for discussion.
Just for discussion, do you want to discuss it? We have to make a motion. We have to approve the motion, second the motion.
Then I'll second the motion.
Can you please state your
Oh,
name just a second?
yeah,
I'm so sorry. Okay.
Second the motion.
Okay, so we have had a recommendation and a second supporting that recommendation to discuss the bill package for cesspool conversion deadlines. And Jim Beats, you would like to make comment to that recommendation or that motion?
Yeah, my comment is that, you know, my understanding is that the bill is to delay, right? And what we're wanting to emphasize is not support the present bill document and to support expediting components of it, right?
Correct.
So
That's what
I was just
gathered.
I was just trying to clarify that actually what we would be supporting is what we would be requesting is not supporting the present bill.
Exactly.
Correct. I believe that is what Commissioner Justin his
Yeah, I was just clarifying that and not because it was more implied than stated.
Thank you. To be clear, thank you for that. Okay.
So can I say something, Erica?
Yes, please.
So maybe Commissioner Beats, you could make a motion to amend the main motion to clarify that it's regarding House Bill 260 and that the commission would urge DEM to not support delayed cesspool conversion and to basically the opposite, to support expediting cesspool conversion. Does that capture your motion and what you're thinking, Commissioner Beats?
Yes, it does. That would be my recommendation.
So that, are you making a motion to amend the main motion?
Yes.
060.
HB
2060. And so
20.
Erica, you can ask for a second for that motion to amend it.
Okay, and do we have a second to support the amendment to the motion?
John Comentani, I support the amendment.
And then you can just say all in favor of the amendment.
Okay, and we'll go to vote. All in favor of the amendment?
Aye.
Aye.
So now you're just
Okay.
amended main motion.
Okay, so now we're able to move forward knowing that that is the motion that we are making is to write a letter to DEM stating that we are not in support of HB 2060 and would like to recommend expediting cesspool conversion. Is there any additional discussion for that newly phrased motion and recommendation? Okay, if there's no discussion, for those that are in favor of submitting this recommendation to DEM, say aye. Sorry, I forget that part. Say aye. 1, 2, 3, 4. Aye. 5. Motion passes with 5 votes to send a recommendation to DEM not in support of HB 206. Great. Well, I know we had an email discussion. Is this something that I'm going to be drafting, or do you feel that?
I mean, we should have just drafted it right now. Here, let's just.
I know we
draft
keep
it right
saying
now.
that.
I'm just
That's
gonna
why
draft it.
that's why I'm like,
I'll just draft it.
I'm sorry.
What's your email?
So Mahina Kai.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And then I'll put Tiffany. Is it okay to CC you or? Yeah. So the process for letters, right? Okay. So, EMC urges DEM to not support
HB 2060.
HB 2060, 2060 because it delays cesspool conversion. Conversion. EMC asked DEM to support the expediting. EMC asked DEM to support any measures that would expedite cesspool conversion. Expedite cesspool conversion. So that's 2 points. Does that capture what you guys are? I'll read it out to you again. So just be, at EMC's meeting on today, January 28th, the commission considered House Bill 2060. After discussion and deliberation, the environmental management urges DEM to not support House Bill 2060 because it delays cesspool conversion. EMC asked DEM to support any legislative measures that would expedite cesspool conversion. Is that
Yes.
capture what you guys want?
Yes. Yeah. In that first sentence, can we add that it goes against recommendations from the state working group?
I don't think you
To
guys
support?
discussed that. You guys
Okay. Never mind.
amend it, yeah.
That's fine.
Okay. And so I'll just finish the
Okay.
ministerial stuff.
Okay. Excellent.
Chair just says it was 11:47.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that. We are on our last new business item, which is the annual election of the EMC chair and vice chair.
Any nominations?
Are there any nominations for these positions
For chair, start with
for chair?
Nominate you, Erica.
Okay, we have a nomination and a second for myself.
Second.
Okay, and we can take it to vote? All in favor of my continuing to be chair for EMC 2026? Aye. Okay. And I have to vote too. I will take that on.
Yeah.
I will take that on. Okay, so the chair position passes. I will continue to be chair for this year. We can move on to voting for our elections for vice chair. Is there any election for vice chair?
Question, John Comitani, District 9. Who's the current vice chair?
So I will continue it if no one else wants it. If no one else wants it, I will continue. I'll put that out there. If anyone else really wants it.
I nominate Justin.
Okay.
Okay, we have one nomination for Justin as vice chair. We have a second.
Yeah.
Okay. So all in favor of Justin continuing to be the vice chair? I'll say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, all in favor, motion passes. We get the honor of being chair and vice chair again to support this lovely home. Excellent. Okay. So that convenes our new business and we're moving on to future agenda items. If folks can have future agenda items to me in email form, thank you for doing that by February the 6th. That will have us ready for our next February agenda.
Yeah, you can ask for public testimony too.
As well as public testimony, yeah. Or comments from the community and public on anything from their concern. For announcements, moving on to the next agenda, we are in need of some seats being filled. We have District 2, District 3, District 5, and District 8 that are vacant right now. We would love to fill these seats. Can somebody please help me with these district locations? Just so I don't know them. They are on the EMC website. So please go to the EMC website and look for our vacancies and apply if you're interested and have the time. The next meeting will be held in Kona on February the 24th. So we look forward to seeing folks there. February 25th, apologies. Thank you. And thank you, Tiffany, for sharing the 2026 EMC schedule. So we also have that. And with that, I believe we are going to conclude this meeting agenda for January the 28th. Do we have a motion to adjourn? We have a first.
Second.
We have a second. All in favor for a motion to adjourn?
Aye.
Aye. Excellent. We are good to go. Thank you all so much. Motion passes. It was very good seeing everybody. Looking forward to February.
Have a great day, everybody. Bye.
Yeah. Thank you.